Hello there everybody, Zach here from 71D Productions. Welcome back to the layout and another review. This time it is on Bachmann's exquisite D11 model. Technically speaking, in this condition it is an 11F, but we'll look past that and I'll explain more about that on the history of the locomotive later. But enough talking, let's just get straight into the detailing on this locomotive. The front of the locomotive contains a vacuum pipe pre-fitted, which is quite a nice feature. It always just helps to enhance the front of the locomotive out of the box. You can't quite see it behind the buffers, but we do have the number of the locomotive, number 502, and also something else I can't quite read because the front of the vacuum pipe obstructs it. The running plate of the locomotive is completely die-cast, which is an absolutely incredible feature. It adds weight to the locomotive, which increases performance, of course, which is absolutely phenomenal. We've also got the separately fitted metal silver handrails, which just look brilliant. They really, really do. And we've also got lamp irons separately fitted on the front as well. There is some quite small detailing just below the smoke box, sorry. Quite small sections there. And there's a lot of riveting detailing on the locomotive as well. Now, there is this, I'm not very good with technical aspects of locomotives, but we have got this separately fitted as well, which is always a very good feature. Oh yes, of course, sprung buffers. Standard, always. And once again, it's not like Hornby where their buffers are oddly metallic and have a really awkward shine to them. These ones, they are completely matte and dull. But I do like the aspect of the silver. It just makes the locomotive look more pristine and almost in museum condition. On the side of the locomotive, you can see we've got the lining, which is really, really nice. There is no parting line on this, as far as I can see, on the top of the boiler, which is brilliant. We've got a little clip here. I'm not sure quite what that's for, but it does appear to be on the real-life example of the locomotive which is preserved, which is Butler Henderson. We've got what I believe is the symbol of the Great Central Railway just there above the nameplate. I'm going to butcher this, but I believe it's pronounced Zebraga or Zebraha. Maybe I'm wrong. But we've also got, I believe, the builder's plate just under the frames, and also inside the frames. I think this is one of the only locomotives to possess it in my collection. We have detailing in the underframes, which is absolutely superb. A brilliant feature of a model, always. On the top of the dome, it's also quite nice. It's just got a very nice dull, I think satin is the word I'm looking for here, finish, which is great. It's not too glossy, which once again is quite a typical feature on Bachmann locos, which is absolutely ideal. Just going along the side, we have got the whistle just here and the safety valves. The safety valves appear to be a little more shiny than the whistle. The whistle seems quite dull, which isn't usually the case on Bachmann locos. Usually it's quite shiny, as it is on my Robinson 04 and my Great Western pannier tank. But we've got little rivets and bolts in the side as well, which I believe are separately fitted and also made out of metal. Lots of riveting detail on the top of the boiler as well. You can just see it protruding slightly. And the lining, especially on the splashes with this gold, is absolutely superb. It just looks so elegant, which is quite odd considering this is a very bulky 440. Moving up to the cab of the loco, we have got separately fitted handrails, the number 502. The detailing pack does include etched number plates, name plates, builder's plates. It's quite odd, I don't know where they're for, but it contains two sets of 502 numbers. One of them is quite evidently larger and for the side, but the other one, maybe it's for the rear of the locomotive. There's something on there, but I can't quite read it, so I'll have to zoom in on that. But we have got glazed windows, which are really, really nice. They just look good, and there's small strips of yellow lining around them, which just enhances the look of the model. We've also got these handrails on the side, by the window, and coming down from the roof as well. And on the side of the tender as well, along with the handrail. The Great Central Railway had some absolutely brilliant liveries. This is one of the only LNER predecessors which I can say I'm fond of. In the cab you can just see a little bit better. Everything is picked out, including injectors, regulator. All the gauges are picked out as well. Everything just looks absolutely brilliant in there. I think one of my favourite details, you can't quite tell from here, but the reverser, I believe, is just over here, and you can even see the screws on the reversing lock, which is just phenomenal. You can tell that Bachmann went to extreme lengths to capture the essence of the D11 here, or 11F, whatever you want to call it, and it just looks absolutely amazing. At the rear of the locomotive, once again, we have vacuum pipe, sprung buffers, once again. We've got lamp irons once again, and yeah, I believe that smaller 502, if my camera will focus, I have to go back out, I think. That smaller 502 goes right there. And we've got this separately fitted handrail, which, yep, is metal. Now, yeah, the tender is all plastic. I didn't know if they had put die cast on the running plate of the tender as well. They haven't, which I suppose is fair. It would be extra weight for the loco to pull. But yeah, we've got the sprung buffers on the rear. Lamp irons, which are painted green and black respectively for whichever part of the tender they're on. And just underneath, we've got these guardrails as well, which look really, really nice. And the wheels, I should mention as well. I'll quickly cut to those. The wheels are lined. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. Everything on this locomotive is lined. The underframe, everything, the wheels. Even the steps have lining on them. It's so ornate, and it really feels like a pre-grouping design. We've got, once again, just little bits of lining along the wheel frames, and it's just amazing. It really, really is. Bachmann have done an excellent job here, and even the lettering on the tender, it's crisp and just looks amazing. Sorry about that, I'll zoom out. It just looks amazing. I think great is correct. This is a brilliant locomotive, looks-wise. But first, before performance testing, let's just learn a little bit more about the Great Central Railway 11F. The 11F was an improved version of the Great Central Railway 11E, designed by John G. Robinson for heavy passenger work. It seems quite odd because all of the other Great Central Railway express passenger locomotives of that time were all 460s or Atlantic 442s. However, they were all incredibly unsuccessful, so Robinson went back to what he knew best and improved his original 11Es. This gave them the nicknames Improved Directors. The original prototype, number 506, Butler Henderson, was built in 1919. The rest of the class were built from 1919 to 1924, bringing a total of 35 members of the class. They were built to handle the large express trains between Sheffield Victoria and London Marylebone. However, they also hauled trains between Manchester Central and Liverpool Central in their later lives. They were classified as D11s under the LNER, and the locomotives carried on use until 1958. However, by the end of their working lives, all but most of them had been relegated to short-distance passenger trains in Scotland. One thing that should be mentioned was the D11-2. Some of the locomotives were built to a reduced loading gauge to help with the passenger trains in Scotland along the smaller, more rural routes. By 1962, all of the class were gone except for one, number 506, Butler Henderson, the original prototype. The locomotive was preserved on the Great Central Railway in Leicester during the 70s, 80s and 90s, but the locomotive has been on static display ever since, and is currently located at Barrow Hill Roundhouse. There you have it. Honestly, before doing the research for these locomotives, massive shout out to Flying Scott on YouTube for that. Yeah, I never realised how modern, technically, for pre-grouping locos these were. They were only built 4 years before pre-grouping, and some of them were even built for the LNER. So as you can tell, this locomotive is indeed fitted with sound, and I will run you through the functions quickly. So some of these... Well, that happened. Some of these functions, are only for when the locomotive is moving. So I'll run through them now. So of course, function 1 sets the locomotive sound up. Function 2 is a brake, which plays brake squealing when the locomotive is braking. I think you can turn off the brake squealing completely as well. So now 3. Is the drain cocks. 4 is the whistle. 5, you can actually increase the sound of the locomotive. In a nutshell, it will make the locomotive puff louder which would simulate heavier load. Number 6, shoveling coal. Now, this locomotive isn't like the pannier tank. It doesn't have a firebox flicker, but it's slightly older, and it wasn't really a thing that companies did then, so I guess that's fair enough. 7 is the injectors. 8 is the blower. 9 is flange squealing, which once again would only work when the loco's moving. 10, okay, prepare for this one, this is the safety valve blowing off. Yep, lovely. Now F11 caught my eye, this is something I've never seen before, handbrake. It means the locomotive won't move. I'll show you this now quickly. So, if I get my dynamics up, shift, you can hear the handbrake screwing on, and the locomotive simply, I had to point my control at my box, sorry, doesn't move. Interesting stuff. So, something I've never seen before that. You can just hear the firebox being unwound, sorry, and now water tank filling. Self-explanatory. So you can hear that's the cap opening, and yep, in goes the water. Nice. Coupling and uncoupling clank. Toot toot. Yep, fair enough. Okay, guard's whistle. And then deactivating it is the driver's response. 16 is coasting, the locomotive won't make any sound when it's moving. 17 is a rail joint clatter, which of course will simulate the da-dum da-dum that you hear. 18 is a shunting mode. This locomotive does contain shunting mode, which of course just helps when you're shunting it around a yard, I suppose. 19 is inertia off. I'm not quite sure what that means, but we'll find out. Didn't nothing. And 20 mutes the loco. Completely. Yep. Okie doke. Well, there you have it. Good amount of interesting functions there. Well, let's see how the locomotive performs on a crawl. It's quite stuttery. Bear in mind I've only ran this locomotive once, so maybe that's something that will improve. I'll give it an extra... Okay, 1 bar does increase a lot. It's a lot smoother at step 2, still a tad stuttery, but once again this is something which will hopefully improve with running the loco in. There's that squealing. I'm going to see if I can turn that off quickly. Right, let's see if it does it. Oh! Oh! That literally just makes the locomotive brake. Blimey. That's handy. Right, well let's run the loco. So you see it's a tad better in reverse, but we'll go and run it off onto its train. And then I'll bring it around into shot. Sounds quite nice, I do like it. I wonder what these sounds would have been from, since of course there are no Great Central Railway locomotives operational right now as far as I know. The preserved 04 is currently undergoing maintenance at the Great Central, I believe. Over in Loughborough. See the locomotive's just disappearing out of shot now. That's a pretty good coupling up. Right, let's bring the train around then and we'll get it underway. I folded my control box down for this, so it just looks a tad better. And she's got a rake of Bachmann Pullman Mark 1s, which just look brilliant, they really do. So let's get a running session going and I'll show you what she'll be running with. Well, here comes the loco she's running alongside. It is the Robinson 04, hauling a quite lengthy train actually. But it seems to be doing okay. Let's give the D11 a little bit more speed. The reason I chose the Pullmans is because I don't have any periodical rolling stock for the loco. And also the Great Central Railway do have a set of Pullmans like this, so I thought it's appropriate. The one in Loughborough, not the original GCR. Okay, I'm very intrigued to see how that heavy load function makes the locomotive sound. Let's do it. Oh, yeah, it's definitely made a difference. It's a lot louder. Blimey. I'll turn it off again. Barely hear it, and then if I turn it on, I'm going to keep that function on permanently. That just makes the locomotive sound so much better. All locomotives sound better when they're louder. Oh, yes. That's absolutely brilliant. This isn't even half speed. Very good, and there goes the Robertson toiling away with its very heavy load. But it seems to be coping alright. It's very stuttery, but that's just the 04 naturally. It's not the best in the world. This should be quite close to the top speed of the loco. Don't know how fast they actually were in real life. Can't be anything more than 75, surely. Correct me if I'm wrong. As I said, I will be having a look at that 04 to just see what's up with it. It's very stuttery. Might need lubricating. I'm not sure. Seems to be doing okay right now though, considering how heavy the train is. Well, I don't usually run long, heavy freight trains on my layout, but it's doing alright. I'd love to get a set of mineral wagons. Couldn't speak properly there. Mineral wagons to recreate the Great Central Railway wind cutter train. Right, probably about time to bring this to a stop then. It's definitely been a good run-in for the D11, that's for sure. it just looks right at speed. We'll bring the 04 to a stop first. The whole train doesn't even fit on the straight. Blimey. Right. Okay, now the D11. This will be interesting, because like the pannier tank, this thing is CV'd out of the box to have a very realistic braking speed. Or braking distance, I suppose is the word to use. It doesn't quite take as long to brake as the pannier though, which is very good. Yeah, brilliant. Very good indeed. Well, blimey, she's still going. Well, there you have it. Bachmann's D11/11F. Very good locomotive indeed. One which I'm really pleased to have in my collection, especially with sound fitted. The sound engines just add more atmosphere to my videos, I feel. With this locomotive, I do recommend you get one. Absolutely. Even if your layout isn't Great Central Railway themed or LNER themed or anything along those lines, they just look great. They run pretty well once they've had a run in. And if you have a sound version, they sound brilliant too. So it's very interesting. I love my 440s, but this one is very bulky. It's, in terms of size, it's not far off. I'll quickly just pan my camera. It's not far off this guy. Yep, Winston Churchill still here. The layout is very empty, which is because I've just given everything a thorough clean. But yeah, these are absolutely brilliant locos. Bachmann have done a sterling job with it. Or maybe that's a Robinson job. That's a designer joke if you don't get it. Anyway, with all that said and done, thanks for watching and bye for now.